I just threw this tier list together. I googled the most popular string brands right now. These are like 15 or 20 of the most popular string brands right now, according to Google. If your favorite strings aren't on this list, please don't rage at me. All right, let's get right into it then. D'Addario Nyxls. I have used these strings before. I worked at a guitar shop for many years and I pretty much tried to use every string they had. I would buy a different one every time I changed my strings. Ended up going through them all. It definitely helped me find what my favorite string brand was. It let me experiment with a lot of different strings. So I have tried the D'Addario Nyxls. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of these strings. I have friends who I know love these strings and they are their favorite string. I might get some hate for this, but I really don't like these strings. I put them on my guitar. I didn't like the way they felt. They felt thicker than normal. I felt like I had to fight all the bends. Yeah, I just didn't really like the string. They just sounded weird to me. I did try them a few times, so I'm gonna give these ones a D. D'Addario, actually, you know, I'll give them a C. We'll go C, because they're not like shitty. I just felt like they weren't good. I don't know, they had a very odd feel to them. Next on the list is Dunlop Super Brights. I remember right when Dunlop Super Brights came out, I was really stoked. I thought it was just like a cool concept. I don't know why. Maybe it was the packaging, maybe it was like the bands that were playing them at the time. I was like, I gotta try those out. We got a shipment of them at the store I worked at, so I bought a pack of 942s. Right away, the high E string snapped within the first 2 minutes of playing. I was like, okay, you know, that was a bunk set. Got another set. High E string snapped, putting those ones on. It was a guitar that I strung a lot, so I knew it wasn't the guitar or user error. It was really odd, maybe a bad batch of strings. I did never try those strings again after those two sets. The two sets were in two different boxes too, so it wasn't like a bad box. I don't know. It was odd though, but I'm gonna give those strings a D. All right, moving on, we got the normal Dunlop strings, the normal nickel Dunlop strings. So I did try these ones too. I had not tried the Dunlop normal nickel strings before trying the Super Brights, I will admit. I thought if the Super Bright snapped that quick, normal Dunlop strings must be pretty bad. So I bought some of those, put them on my guitar. They weren't bad. I played on them for a few weeks. I remember I liked them at first. They had a nice tone to them. They had a nice feel. They kind of reminded me of like a normal Ernie ball string or just a very standard kind of nickel string. It had a nice feel to it. There was nothing really shining special about it. Also nothing bad about it. Just an all-around good string. I'd give the normal nickel D'Addarios a B. I'll go with a solid B on that one. All right, so the next set of strings we have are the Fender strings. And I will admit, I think I've tried these Fender strings on a starter pack, if I remember correctly, which I might be wrong. So if I'm wrong, feel free to call me out. I will admit I might be wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure these Fender strings are what come on starter packs. Like the Fender Squire starter packs that come with you know, the red or blue or black guitar, the little amp, the gig bag, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure this is what comes with those. I have played these. These are pretty bad strings if I remember correctly. I don't remember liking them at all. I'm gonna go ahead and just give these ones a D. Moving on to clear tones. Clear tones. All right, so yeah, when I worked at the guitar shop, I did mess around with some clear tones. I noticed a lot of customers coming in and they had to have clear tones. They had to have clear tones. And honestly, they sold out very quickly. I remember they were very popular. So I tried a set and they were pretty rad actually. They had a nice tone, a nice feel. It kind of reminded me of Elixirs in a way. They were slightly stiff, so I wasn't crazy about them. I tend to not like strings that feel thicker than they should, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But I'm gonna give clear tone a B because it wasn't a bad string, but I wasn't just crazy about it. So solid B, solid B. Pure Blues, DR. Let's just put those on a C and move past it. All right, so next we have the DR Neon Assorted Colors, which I have seen people buy. These strings were actually more popular than I thought they were going to be. People actually buy these, but I will admit, when people buy these strings, they know they sound bad and they know they're not good strings, always for the novelty or the gimmick or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to say, though, they're just bad. They feel horrible. It feels like someone dipped your strings in paint and let them sit out to dry, and then dip them in paint again once they were dry to get a nice second layer of paint to really cover up those springs and any tone or vibrations that you might get in the strings. Just get rid of it. Get it out of here. That's exactly what those strings do. So we'll go ahead and just give them a bad just bad on that one, but they look cool, I guess. All right, so GHS boomers, man, oh man, GHS boomers. Me and those strings go way back. This is like the metalcore, deathcore string, right? I remember back in the day, like 2009. That's back in the day. Wow. Rip. I remember back in the day, like 2009, 2010, deathcore was popping, the scene was popping, metalcore was popping. Dude, the amount of guitar players I knew that use GHS boomers when they're playing in drop B back in the day is pretty shocking, and I was one of them. GHS boomers aren't bad strings at all, man. They're not amazing, but they're not bad. They have their place. I really do think they do. They have great tone, and I know a few really good guitar players that love those strings as well. I'm gonna give those I'm gonna give them a B. B for boomers. Feels appropriate. DR Black Beauties. Oh man, DR Black Beauties. Where to begin with those? I want to give them an S tier for just the goth value alone, but honestly, they're a bad string. It's the same as the DR Neons. Dipped in paint, dried out, dipped in paint, dried out. Maybe with the Black Beauties, dip them in paint. Really get that black coating across all those strings and just slip around. There's no grip on the bends. There's no like vibrations through the string. It's just dead, thick, muddy darkness. So for that, I'm gonna give it an S tier. And let's see here. No, I'm just kidding. Just bad on the Black Beauties. Like if I was just joking around, messing around, and being a total meme, these would go S tier. But let's be honest, they're bad. Let's be honest. All right, Blue Steel, Dean Markley, right? Dean Markley. Blue Steels. I'm gonna be honest with you. Never used them. I always saw the Blue Steels, the wall of guitar strings in every guitar store. They'd always be way at the top, and they'd be covered in dust next to the pure blue DRs. You ever notice that? All right, Diodario XL. Those are the normal nickel ones, I believe. Those are good strings. I can't say that they're bad. I can't say that I totally love them. They're great strings, and all around, they have a place in the string world. They're reliable. They last a good while. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about Diodario XL, so I'll put those in A's for sure. I will say, I'll take the Diodario XL's normal nickel wound over the NYXLs, and I don't know why. The nickel wound Diodario XLs just feel like normal nickel strings, which I love, but the NYXLs feel like there's an invisible coating on them, and it's almost like it's hard to slide your finger across the NYXLs. I don't know, that's just my experience with them, but the normal nickel wound Diodarios, cool with me. All right, next is Elixirs, and these are what ship on all Kiesel guitars. So I do have some experience with Elixirs. I play them all the time at work. I play on a lot of the guitars at work. I do the weekly live streams at work as well, and I always play an in-stock guitar. They always have Elixirs on them. So I do have quite a bit of experience with Elixir strings, and they're not bad. They're not bad at all. They're good, but they're not amazing. There's something about them, like harmonically, that isn't perfect for me, that isn't amazing, that I have to use them. I'm not like, I gotta put Elixirs on my guitar. I do enjoy them. I do like them. I'll keep them on my guitars for a little while and then, throw my preference of strings on after a while. So they are a good string, and I will say that it's a solid string. I'm gonna give Elixirs a straight A. That's an A string for sure. Moving on to the Ernie Ball Paradigms. I've only used these strings a few times. I had an odd experience with these strings. I put them on my guitar right when they came out. I was super stoked to try them out, but they left black residue on my fingertips, which was odd. I wiped them off right out of the bag, and there was like black streaks on my cloth. It was weird. I don't know. I had a weird experience with Paradigms. I'm gonna put those in D. Regular Ernie Ball Slinkies. All right. I will say, I am biased. Here we are to the biased part of the video, because Ernie Ball normal nickel strings are my absolute top tier, S tier, good as it gets. There's just something about them strings. I know they don't last long. I know they die quick. I know everybody says, oh, they last 2 days. You melt through them. I have pretty acidic sweat. I play on them for probably months. Probably a lot longer than I should, but they're phenomenal. I keep my strings clean. I'm very OCD about cleaning my strings before I play, wiping all that crap off of them. It's really gross and just feels a lot better when you get those strings cleaned. I will say straight up, there's just something about the harmonics on both the regular Slinky and Super Slinky Ernie Ball nickel strings. I'm not endorsed by them. I don't get any strings at all for free or anything from any company. These strings are a must-have for me. Bam, S tier. Bam, S tier. I don't know what it is about it. I really don't. But when you hit a harmonic, when you just pluck these strings, there's something harmonically that's happening that just doesn't happen with other strings, even other Ernie Ball strings. It's very weird. So Ernie Ball Cobalt, Ernie Ball Cobalt. These strings are cool. They're a little stiff feeling to me. I will say they're an S tier string though. They feel very similar to the normal Ernie Ball and Nyxls strings, but there's a little more stiffness to them and like sharpness, and you can like dig into them more almost, it feels like. I do like them though. It's a nice string. They feel nice, very, very slick. They last a while too. I do like the Cobalts. I will say, moving on to the M Steels, I like the Cobalts a lot better than the M Steels. M Steels are going A for me. I wasn't super crazy about the M Steels, but I didn't hate them. I'll definitely go A. They're for sure better than the Paradigms. I don't know the differences between these strings, like, oh, if they're coated or uncoated. I just tried them all, came out with the results that I have now, the opinions that I have about them now. But I will say, yeah, the Paradigms are the worst of the Ernie Ball strings for me, followed by the M Steel, followed by the Cobalt, and top would be the normal nickel Ernie Ball strings. They're just, oh, chef's kiss. I love it. The tone, amazing. The feel, amazing. Love those strings. S tier, 100%. Moving on to the PRS strings, PRS Classics. I will say, I don't think I've ever tried these. Unless these strings come stock equipped on PRS guitars, I have never tried them. If they come on PRS guitars, I have tried them. It's hard to rate them, but I'm gonna say never used because I'm not 100% sure if I ever used them. So it wouldn't be fair to give a judgment on them, a tier judgment on these strings if I've never used them to my knowledge. So we'll say never used. And last we have the Gibson electric strings. Now these strings I have actually used. I remember I had a few sets back in like 2014, 13, somewhere around there. I had a few sets of these strings and I did put them on my guitar once. It was a night when I was just playing guitar and my strings broke and I was like, oh, I have those Gibson strings in my little drawer. So I busted out the Gibson strings and put them on. They weren't bad. I'd say I'd probably put them in about a C for the Gibson strings. I wasn't super crazy about them, but yeah, I didn't think they were horrible. I mean, honestly, they didn't break on me. They didn't feel super shitty. So I gotta say C. I can't really put them in D because the Paradigms, the black shit rubbed off on my fingers, and that was just weird, and I didn't like it. The Fenders, they're just bad strings. They don't make good strings. They're not a string company. I don't think that's what they're proud of. And then the Super Brights, my only experience with the 2-packs I tried was break 2 minutes into playing, break while putting on. So it wasn't a really fair experience. So I can't really put the Gibson strings against those other ones. I'm going to say Gibson's probably ahead of Pure Blues, but below Nyxls. Paradigms, I'll put at the top of the D list. That's fair. I'll put Paradigms at the top of the D list because they didn't bust the first 2 times. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And then we'll say the B, we got the Dunlop Cleartone G8. That feels fair, you know. A, Nyxl. That's not bad. We'll go Elixir for the top of the A list. That looks good. I think I'm proud of that. That is my guitar string tier list. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that.